darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow Ura again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Caelondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? So many secrets in there and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal. The Breakers. Ain't no one could outrun them. Or their arrows. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. Behold, the Pantheon. A Kobe. The gods never liked competing for people's affections. We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Savage things lurking at every turn. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a Bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. They shouldn't have let their guard down. The core's right there, itching to come home. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the Calamity. It toughened them up. Best take it real slow. Pincushions are afoot. Don't ever turn your back on the pincushion. Kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Leave it to the kid to make time for stomping swamp weeds. Then kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. Wild green vine apples about the only good thing out here. In time, we charted the wild unknown, but we kept the name. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Savage things lurking at every turn. Pincushions ain't the worst of it either. Becker's got the core. I think they'll have Bastion. Good thing pincushions can't see where they're shooting. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. Kid learns the hard way not to touch those things. Can't be too careful these days. In time, we charted the wild unknown, but we kept the name. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Pincushions ain't the worst of it either. workers got the core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. They shouldn't have let their guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the calamity. It toughened them up. Same goes for the kid. Best take it real slow when pincushions are afoot. Slinger Johnson's old outpost is all that's left of him. Kid's faster than a slinger with those guns. Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. A handful of windbag shipments made it out this far. The kid's seen the last of them. Gives a wallflower a taste of its own medicine. Kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Jawson's boys left all kinds of stuff out here. Leave it to the kid to make time for stomping swamp weeds. gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. Hardly any signs of the old Jawson camp. Wild green vine apples not the only good thing out here. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped. Started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. He ain't all that shy. What else is there to say? Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. Want to stay alive in the wilds, pack a pair of pistols and a good blade. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the Core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is. Somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. There and welcome him with open arms. Kid pops That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Ligura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds beggars, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, pineapples, swamp weeds, ankle gaiters. There's no way out. waters into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Celandia's famous watering holes. He has the nerve to flash the shield he stole. He's a petty thief. The security is just extremely good. Succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi, the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's all right, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Piff, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Disgusting things. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag's running leak. say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, a kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. Never could ask for a song. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. Finders keepers. Party punch is so zesty, it'll let you carry on through the worst of times. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rotha's Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts what don't know up from down, still lurking about. That's ankle gator country for you. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? The stinkweed. Can't get hasty in a place like this. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. Ain't time for pecker hunting, but the kid can't resist. Brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Most of those peckers are smart enough to stay out of Queen Anne's way. Those pin cushions been living off the ankle gator scraps. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and it's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining. And it ain't raining. They make a tasty snack. That old gator's right on his tail. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Seems even stinkweeds know to stay away from the queen. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? They use a kid as bait. The shard's sitting in plain view. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She started to get annoyed. For the brushes. He's got it, and he's home free. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. That gator's a crazy gal, but so's the gal who promised to look after her. All that trouble for a single shard, but you know what? It was worth it. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. He's a spitting image of Slinger Jawson with that pike and them pistols. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. But now, the greatest outpost past the city line is nothing but a freak show. The army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand rails all grown over with things of calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers, coughing fungus everywhere. place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the Grand Rails seen much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Ura-Celandian War. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into Swampweed Central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While shooting a genuine registered army carbine, while choking on swampweed, while peckers trying to prick you in the eye. Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. Ceylon here lost many good men on the rail. He'll be picking swampweed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower, pincushion minded. At first he thinks it's Zulf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham. When the kid comes to, the man's long gone. But something else is there. The only words Kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the Calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zulf. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. Oh, his manners ain't so bad. Zulf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zulf told him. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. That's the way to make every shot count. Turns out those old bones still have some spark in them. It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. Sometimes a brusher's pike just ain't enough. That's what the carbine's for. The shards are getting harder to find. Not everything blew up in the Calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Culford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. It's awful hot in there. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. Taste the air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. Place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we look down inside Culford Cauldron, look down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Jocelyn Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Pops open on him like a pimple on a school day. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. The arsenal's complete, in case we need protection. We ain't much for pleasantries. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan. Not much left of Mount Zan nowadays. It's like a cross between a zoo and a prison break. Can't rightly call Mount Zan a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. So they figure they'll hold out right here on a slab of mountain the Calamity forgot. We only found that little lair because they found themselves a little shard. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. There's only one kind of mercy left these days. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Takes a lot of convincing, and our orders have to do the talking. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's gain, not just ours. Unfortunately, There's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. You don't need to keep tangling with all those things. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the tasseled terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. where refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts. Learn more through music than history books. Gain a knack for strings and songs. First, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language. Her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. Lost my train of thought there. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. Just can't get enough of that good home cooking, can he? Knocks him into an uneasy sleep. What's he thinking? Let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl. But she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of the people. She was from Zealandia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. birth and complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. First, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Her to take him to a family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. Lost my train of thought there. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. But the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls.
One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city on a hill.
The young man had sent the authorities a tip. Told him her father was using it to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals.
On a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill. So build that wall and build it stronger. We'll be there before too.
She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free.
Gonna build that wall to the sky. Someday your bird is gonna fly. Gonna build that wall until it's done.
Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
But now you gotta run. So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there before too long.
She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
I did my whole year.
Well, I digress. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. A culture, a still life of old unwanted keepsakes. I've asked a lot of the kid, but this is something he's done on his own. He's made a right comfortable bed for all those bullets. Just a couple shots left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives, rattletails. Why would the Ura put up with those pests? Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks. But there was even more to it than that. The quarry ain't exactly up to safety standards no more. The quarry's secrets ain't exactly obvious. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? Might be the gods told him the quarry's bad news. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. Single core can keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. A shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to calling Sir Lunky. Massive things stomp many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks in Bastion quarry is Sir Lunky's head. His big fat rum's plenty tough too, but so is a kid. Stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. It's him. "I've come to warn you," he says. The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back. Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you." Because my countrymen will. Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His Countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that.
Let me go.
Zolf showed them the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kids gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. See, the Bastion's no mere safe haven. Big surprise, right? To make matters worse, seems the Ura took the girl. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their hole. Something wrong sprung down those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop it, but we needed squirt. You don't make it. Our baby pecker. He don't make it. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zolf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zolf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. We talk a little here and there. Black rise like hot pineapple chowder on a cold day. Brings back memories. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Now all we need is one last shard. The mercy. The windbags ain't the only beast that drew a bad lot. The sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild. The conscience. We haven't lost everything, long as we have that. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zolf said the Calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand as living proof of that. At the heart of the Calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. Wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancers' little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Pray. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. For now, Kid had little choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. See ya. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. Keep your chin up, kid, I tell him. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. He finds his moment to strike. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. Found a way to keep the Calamity from spreading through Sultan's Hollow. Kid has to put a damper on their plans. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy, even. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the Calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. Kid's done using the Calamity's power for now, but the Ura ain't finished. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. accidents are just a bump in the road. By now, every Earth from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Kid returns their greeting tenfold. Most of the Earth's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. They're easy targets. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. Keep hanging on to that barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Maybe they know they've lost this. Lost to a kid. They underestimated us. Had his pay go wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. Too bad for them. Our guns are bigger still. There's nothing standing in his way no more. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura. To your own people. You had to see if everything Zulf wrote to you was true. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose? Just to see if he'd go after you? They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. He ain't big on small talk. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? Even the army never issued carbines in such fine shape. The country, she's all to pieces now, but still looking good. Once the kid gets that last shard from Zulf, it'll all be over. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. Just needs to get that shard from Zulf and come on home. The calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. No chance anything survived. You know why Zulf went back there. The place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the calamity. Zulf must be there all alone, just waiting. funny. Well, all of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. What happens to Zolf will no longer matter. This disease the Earth planted here will go away. Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the Calamity. yourself again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. All of life's little setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at them. No mistakes. You follow me? Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say. Who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You wonder wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores and we'd take off away from here. Of course, that would mean no going back. Ever. But then again, that way all of us could leave the city. Together. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? Zolf and the Ura, all they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zolf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. Imagine the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zolf ain't lost every shred of decency though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. Zolf, this ain't a personal matter. It ain't a simple matter of pride, either. One thing's for sure. Lyra can't be happy that the kid followed Zolf all the way home. I can see it now. The kid in one corner, and Zolf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you?
I set my sail, fly, the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, clouds are making way for me. I'm coming home, sweet home. I see your star, you left it burning for me. Mother, I'm here. Eyes open wide.
Kid's probably dealt with Zolf by now.
Feel your heart and it's glowing.
He reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I say get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions. Hey, kid. can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You could save all those creatures here and now.
You made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zolf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. Any moment I'd want to live again happened after the calamity, not before.
It's finished. Now, sit tight. It'll be over soon. No matter what happens next, you're done good. I suppose all that's left is to try and remember this moment. The Bastion's gonna take us back to a better time. Before any of this. My people forget everything you've done. And each other. Though after all we've been through, I find that hard to believe. So long, kid. Maybe I'll see you in the next one. Zealandia, we're coming home.
I set my sail, fly the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, climb to make it wait for me. I'm coming